This racetrack, it really set a tone for your passion for racing.
I think Anderson Speedway in the town of Anderson they laid down a profile for short track, for high profile short track races with the Redbud 400, because I go back to the first one that I did for ASA, and all that week there were newspaper articles, there was a golf tournament, there was I think some kind of a dance with a band, there was an auction, and the whole town just rallied around the Redbud 400, which I just thought that was spectacular. You can never take your eye off the racetrack. I mean, as long as the cars are on the racetrack, it probably hurts their concessions business. And there are probably a lot of old guys sitting in the grandstands that really need a potty break at some point. But Anderson is just, it is special. It always was special. And that live pit stops, those are nuts in the little 500. We did the same thing with the Redbud 400, because you use the figure 8 part of the racetrack. And that's what always made it special for me, is to be able to watch cars go side by side, whether it was an ASA race in the Redbud, or a sprint car race like the little 500, or even a local short track program on Saturday nights at Anderson. It's just a track that lent itself to really good side-by-side racing, and that's what all race fans really love.
Boy, those old video clips from the TNN Motorsports days bring us back, don't they? Our buddy Rob Albright there, you can catch Rob on PRN Radio. He works with those guys covering NASCAR's Cup Series on a regular basis when it's one of the SMI tracks. And Rob is a native of right here in Anderson, Indiana. So you and I have both been here not only for ASA races, but for the Little 500 as well.
Yep.
And this town really just comes to life when there's a big event here. I remember coming for the ASA races and being a part of the parade and doing all of that through downtown.
Pulled by lawn tractors
really
through downtown.
Yeah.
Lined the streets.
Yeah, really something.
They had a golf outing, but that stopped, I think, after Jimmy Johnson and Rick Beebe decided to do a few more things with the golf carts than use them to get from hole to hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good time then, too. It's really neat, though. This whole town wraps themselves around it. There was a lot of employees from the AC Delco and GM back in the day. UAW is still a strong presence here in town. But that was really the hotbed. And with AC Delco sponsoring the entire series, it was a big, big deal, not only for the Robbins family who lived here and worked out of this community.
This was the headquarters here in Pendleton, Indiana, right?
Yep, right down the road, yeah. Oh, we're getting ready.
There's
Love that drone shot.
Tonight's race cars all lined up.
That's behind turn 3. They're going to drop in the bowl into the X, and then we'll qualify out of there, out of the infield.
Getting ready to go. Covered up for now. So you want to know what it's like to drive around here? Well, Newcastle, Indiana is where Dalton Armstrong hails from. And we had an opportunity yesterday during practice to put a camera in with Dalton. He was kind enough to take us for a high-speed lap around Anderson. Tell us about the experience.
Dalton Armstrong here, driver of the number 5 Richie Waters Motorsports Toyota. Going to give you guys kind of a little rundown of what it's like to get a lap around here at Anderson Speedway. Very fast. They say it's like driving jets in a gymnasium here. So got a first lap here up to speed. I'll wait for it to kind of cut to the slow-mo, kind of break it down, what a lap is like going through my head. It all happens pretty quick. All right, up off exit here, full throttle. Get past the flag stand, try to get a good arc in, try to get down to the bottom, brake, off the brake here, gas, hard gas off, kind of straighten the wheel up towards the wall, let the car kind of straighten out, back into the next corner. Right here, kind of get over that hump, there's a hump there, get up past your apex, straighten it up, hard gas up off. This place is very stop and go-y, so I think that's the biggest thing. It's just a lot of stop, go, hard, transitions with the wheel compared to like other tracks and stuff where, it might be a little more finesse. This place is very aggressive and abrasive. Easy to turn laps by yourself, but when you're side by side, this place gets kind of tough.
And we are back live here at Anderson Speedway, and Jim, cars are starting to roll out into the center of the racetrack. See, Everidge has the 63 out there, and couldn't tell. It looks like the 51.
Stephen
Nassy,
yeah.
the 51. Yeah.
So I got a chance to go to the Slinger Nationals on Tuesday. Stephen Nassy was the first of 34 cars to qualify. I don't think he likes this week at all. That was Tuesday night. He had to get on a provisional, but qualifying there was within half a second. And I think we're going to see the same here tonight. Another high bank, short track premier race here in the upper Midwest. And the Midwest Tour raced at Slinger earlier this year in April. And Nassy's been spending some time up here in the Midwest this week.
Well, helping us with our coverage tonight is going to be Matt Preer, who's down in the middle of the X with the race cars. And Matt, looks like you got somebody to chat with. Welcome aboard.
Indeed, thank you very much. Stephen Nassy looks like to go out first here and go fast racing qualifying. Stephen, you're the first man out, and it's been an awfully close field in practice. What do you got to do to get that pole award?
I got to go out there and be smooth. We, not really worried about qualifying, but I'm definitely happy that my car has that speed, and it's definitely unusual, but I'm happy for me and my guys, and we're obviously making gains in this 51. Just need to go out here, make a couple smooth laps, and get ready for this 400 laps.
Stephen Nassy ready to head out first for qualifying, guys.
Smooth is a key here, isn't it, Jim? Because you have a little bit of a bumpy lap, and it could be a real problem in a hurry.
Yeah, looking at the practice times, it was really close in practice times. Nassy was the 13th fastest car earlier today in practice. Wasn't off by much. He'll be the first car to test these high banks. Top 8 cars will lock in and qualify and get a redraw for where they're going to start in their race. That's a standard ASA STARS National Tour policy this year for the first season.
We've got engines fired. Here comes Stephen Nassy out, first up. Trying to get some heat in those tires right away.
These 4 tires are joined by 4 more tires to last 400 laps here at Anderson Speedway in tonight's Redbud 400.
He gets one more lap here to get some speed going. Here he comes to the clock, and he's off and running.
Bump and turn 3 is in the middle to lower portion. Nassy got above it that time. 12.368, the standard mark there.
Yeah, it's a 400-lap race tonight, but in lap times in that 12-second range, Jim, this one could go quick. This one goes 12.3 flat. That's his quicker lap.
Next up, making the debut here in the ASA STARS National Tour is the driver 5th in the point standings for the ASA CRA Super Series. This is their 3rd race of the season and a co-sanctioned run. Caston Everidge, 5th in the standings, comes into this one. Looking for a debut here and a strong one at Anderson Speedway. A stalwart on the schedule for the CRA Super Series for a long time. The Redbud 400 since about 2004 has been sanctioned by CRA, now under the ASA banner in 2023.
Caston with a 12.789. See what he does. White flag. 12.605.
Helping the effort, Clink Trucking, Chubby's Fish and Steak, Average Motor Sales, and Track Tune on the Chevrolet.
Final lap. 12.555. So he got quicker each time, Jim.
12.5. We'll see how that lines up. We have enough cars here where we don't have to run a last chance race, but starting position is critical. So Caston Everidge hoping that will be a time where pit selection will be important. And the faster you go, the higher up you are in the list of picking the pit stalls here at Anderson.
Out of Owensboro, Kentucky, in the time DC back Toyota, Dakota Stroop, car number 47.
Talked to Dakota just before coming up here for qualifying. I said, you've run here a bunch. Yeah, well, while he's out of Owensboro, he's run a lot here in the JEG CRA All-Stars Tour. That's a crate motor super late, or late model, and he's said, hey, this is my first time in a super. A lot to learn.
Well, he's learning quick, 12.555.
To his favor, he has Cody Glick as his crew chief. Cody's co-owner of Hamke Racing Chassis. He has 4 victories of his own in the Redbud 400 with 2 different drivers.
And a 12.363.
Next up, a driver raced for the championship last year in the ASA CRA Super Series. Billy Van Meter of Indianapolis in the Edco Welding Mastodon Kane, Van Dorn Racing Chevrolet. Billy's raced in every single one of these ASA Stars National Tour races. Best finish thus far came one race ago on Father's Day at Milwaukee. Finished 10th at the Milwaukee Mile Father's Day 100 presented by Hunt Brothers Pizza.
12.624. And coming in the line. $12.285.
All right, here we go. We're getting closer now. He's got fast time thus far, as you see across our screen.
And he lowers it to a 12.211.
His dad, Eddie, raced for the championship last year with his son, and Eddie's really good at figure eight racing. So I'm sure Billy at times would be like, okay, are we racing the oval or racing the figure eight? Because he's grown up his whole life at tracks like this one with a big X in the middle.
He was really good up off of turn number 2.
Yeah, he was. Gio Ruggiero, and number 20, first auto group, Toyota.
Well, he looked like he got right up along the wall just before the entrance to 3.
He found the speed today. Fastest man in practice is the number 22 driver.
12.309.
The 18-year-old out of Seekonk, Massachusetts, comes in 5th in the points in the ASA Stars National Tour and leads the CRA Super Series point standings.
3rd as he comes to the line one more time. Now he jumps to 2nd with a 12.217. So he's right on the heels of Van Meter. Let's see what he can do. Can he get a couple extra thousandths here?
They break the 12-second barrier is the big question.
Well, he goes to number 1 with a 12.102. Wow, that is tight, isn't it?
Good job by Gio. His teammate is now on the racetrack. Gio was fastest in practice. His teammate Cole Butcher rolled up to the 2nd on the speed chart earlier today in practice. This is the number 28 of Cole Butcher out of Porters Lake, Nova Scotia. Full-timer of the ASA Stars National Tour in 2023. Sits 3rd in the standings. Coming off his best finish of the year at Milwaukee. A runner-up to Ty Majeski in that one.
Well, they must have a fairly similar setup. He goes right to number 3 with a 12.295.
Ooh, that might be the best first lap we've seen.
Might be. Number 2 with a 12.150. Oh boy, look out. Here he comes.
Don't get too close to that front stretch wall. Gary St. Amant's teammate will tell you that's not a good idea. Back in the day, ASA, we had a car demolish.
Oh, he takes it from his teammate with a 12.043.
There you go. The Oxford 250 winner, the Atlantic Tilt Load 9D Creative Toyota, puts it up P1 right now.
Next group of cars will be making their way out.
Nice job. And we're angle parking them in the infield, not just to look pretty, but we're impounding. This is it. When you roll out for qualifying, you can't make any changes on these race cars.
Well, if I'm Butcher or Ruggiero, I don't think I need to.
Tape on the nose, air pressure, that's about it.
All right, Matt, down to you.
Cole Butcher so far, quick time of the first 6 cars. But as he's getting the helmet off, Cole, we know that there's a lot of heavy hitters still you'll have to qualify. You think that 12.043 is going to stand up?
I hope so. I'm not really sure, honestly. I know the track's gotten pretty hot since our last practice, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Cole Butcher so far, P1 and Go Fast Racing qualifying, guys.
Yeah, unexpected sunshine, really. He just brought up the point
Truly.
that the track's been baked by the sun rather than the overcast guys we started the day with some sprinkles in the morning. Lots of changes. Some expected, some did not expect that.
Well, and it's going to change again before we go to green because we will be racing into the evening here.
Cole Butcher, man, he's on a charge, though. He is ready and poised for his first victory in the series. 4th at Five Flag Speedway to begin the season. A 3rd at Hickory and a great run. He found a racing line like nobody else could find there. And now we come here after this run-out finish at Milwaukee. A lot of momentum in his positive direction for that number 28 machine. And Cole Butcher, the driver out of Nova Scotia. Von Suss working with the team. Dennis Dean working right with these guys. They have a ton of laps here between the two of them. Getting Cole comfortable is a main priority here. And Gio, he just gets pretty acclimated anywhere he goes.
Yeah.
In the Super Late. He's been fast everywhere.
Well, this is a place where experience is definitely going to pay off.
Little break in the action to get some drivers and cars to the infield to continue qualifying.
When we go back down trackside to Matt.
Gio Ruggiero was second quick. You know, kind of a reverse flip there from practice to the Donnie Wilson Racing Machines 1 and 2. You're on the wrong side of this, but still second quick so far. How's the car feel?
Car's pretty good. I think the track's a little bit hotter and more slick than it was in practice. Hopefully my lap time there will kind of hold up, and we'll start in a good spot tonight.
So far, Donnie Wilson Racing 1-2 in Go Fast Racing qualifying.
It's a great start to the night for them, Matt, for sure. And, I think, Jim, it's okay if you guessed a little bit it wasn't going to be as hot, but you're playing the long game and thinking for later tonight, too.
Big time. And it's a matter of, getting it figured out, because yesterday, really hot day. All day hot yesterday. Like, okay, what do we practice for? It's going to be overcast on race day today. It may be a little bit cooler. A lot of question marks here. With that rain overnight washing off some of the tacky surface. I was on the track yesterday at the end of day. There was some rubber down, believe me. There was some rubber on this racetrack. I think those drivers are kind of feeling their way through and trying to get the same comfort level they had at the end of a 3-hour, I think, session. They had time to get on track and get acclimated yesterday.
Well, there's definitely going to be some after tonight. 400 laps around this high bank quarter mile.
And this is the only division running, which is a difference maker at a track no matter where we go in the series. There's not another division, another different tire compound to work through. That was something that at Milwaukee there were several divisions, and some of these
North
drivers
Wilkesboro.
were saying, hey, you know what, that was a different compound. It took me 5 or 6 laps. Or if we got in a certain groove, we knew it was old rubber from the prior series.
Now we're going to have 2 stage breaks tonight. As you can see, our info for the Redbud 400. Stage breaks around lap 140 and 280. 8-tire race, Jim. You might want to explain that once again for the fans who might be new to the ASA STARS National Tour. And then our top 8 qualifiers will redraw.
So you have 4 tires you designate for in the pits, and these 4 on the race car have to be the tires that are on the race car when the race starts as well. So 4 plus 4 is 8. So they only have 4 spares to change in the pits, and you only change 2 of those at a time during this 400-lap race tonight.
Any way you want to go.
I'm thinking they wouldn't change rears or fronts, though. I think it's all going to be about sides.
Sides for sure.
And they could swap sides, just not on the same
Right.
stop as a change. Front to rear. Jaron Crabtree out of Muncie, Indiana, making his ASA STARS National Tour debut. Former Rookie of the Year in the ASA CRA Super Series, the series based here in Ohio and Indiana, up into Michigan.
And he does not break into the top 5.
Where the 3 regional
Jaron
series
is
make up this
7th
deal.
with a
Yep.
12.577.
Next up, a driver won the Junior Late Model Championship in the CRA sanctioned run where they brought teenagers to 4 and got them in full-size stock cars. Chase Berta won that championship a couple of years ago. Now we're here racing in a super late at Anderson Speedway for the first time in the ASA STARS National Tour in the black number 18.
Sixth right now with a 12.377.
Lapeer Pool and Spa.
Pool and Spa sounds real good right about now.
Rob Service, finish line and auto sales on his Chevrolet.
He's up to 4th with a 12.285. And he goes to 3rd with a 12.182.
He had some really good practice speeds as well. So keep an eye on Chase Berta. While it's his first race at this level with this series, track time and experience will pay for that young driver. Next up, the number 32 on the track, Scotty Tomasic, or Scott Tomasic. Doesn't care what do you call him, but Scotty's on the racetrack at this number 32.
The only way he really wants to be called is the winner, right?
Speaking of experience, he's got a lot of laps here. He usually wears the number 4 on the door, but it's Archie St. Hilaire's number 32 on the door and the roof of his Chevrolet. Try to beat Cole Butcher's time about 12.043 seconds. The 4th different driver to run for Archie St. Hilaire in that number this season.
He goes to 4th, 12.208.
Morris Transmission, Clement Liquor, Kenny Mowing, and Go Fast Racing in this Toyota. Go Fast Racing, the sponsor of the Pole Award every week.
Up to 3rd with a 12.122.
Sorry, every race. We're only doing 10 races over the course of the season.
Yep, halfway through.
Go Fast Pole Award, $1,000 to the winner of the quick time here today at every race in 2023. 131, Blake Rowe. This car has been good. We've seen Kyle Crump race it to victory here in the Redbud 400 2 years ago.
He's a little loose off of 2. Nice job of gathering it up.
Making hay in this late model. It's a Michigan-based team. He's done quite well in it. He also has raced and won in the Midwest Modified Tour. 3 of his last 4 starts have gone. He's gone to victory lane, including this year.
He is 8th right now, 12.363.
Blake Rowe out of Ortonville, Michigan. getting a chance to run the super lates and making his ASA Stars National Tour debut here today in Anderson.
7th with a 12.334.
Next up, the driver that many gauge and measure off, it's Bubba Pollard. Phoenix Construction on the quarter panel of his number 26. He has a Chevrolet and a Ford. This is the Chevrolet. He's raced, I think, 3 different times now here in 2023 in the ASA Stars National Tour. Bit of a wiggle there off of turn 4.
Yeah.
Pollard comes into this race 4th in the point standings.
And a little bit frustrated, right?
A little bit. Well, victory at North Wilkesboro, but a lot of could-have-beens. Hickory had a steering rack break off while being in contention, racing forward. Pensacola, Five Flag Speedway, got in a tussle. Caution comes out. He's running for the lead, got dialed and spun around and crashed into on the front stretch. Cost him a victory there in March.
And he's 5th right now with a 12.206. Bubba could very easily be the points leader right now, Jim, and have 3 wins at least.
Yeah, a 19th place result at Five Flag Speedway. That Hickory incident, he came from 13th on the grid. He was just picking them off left and right. Ends up with a 23rd place finish. He said other than Milwaukee, where he finished 8th, he thinks he had a shot at every one of the races to win at the 6th thus far.
Hard to argue with.
5 thus far, excuse me. This is race 6 of 10. And he's working with 2 different teams. It's his own team that he's run the majority of these races, but at Slinger Speedway in April, he worked with Travis Dasso up in Wisconsin, did a lot of work with that team, and the chassis that's really taking forward up there is the Dave Reed chassis, and he worked with those guys, and now he's back in that familiar Seneca number 26 chassis.
And let's go back down into the pit area or infield area. Here's Matt.
Scotty Tomasek has turned thousands of laps here at Anderson Speedway, and it seemed to prove pretty well for you, sitting 3rd quick. Is that going to hold?
I think it'll put us in a good spot to start the feature with 400 laps, so really you can start anywhere and win this thing. That's what it's about, trying to do a good job for Go Fast Racing here, get them some points for this Owners' Championship, and put Moore's transmission up front tonight.
Scotty Tomasek currently sitting 3rd quick right now in Go Fast Racing qualifying.
And as we have a pause in the action, a big development happening here. Beautiful looking race car. Thank you, Scotty, for being part of this program. Scotty's got, as Matt mentioned, a bunch of laps, but the development I just pointed out, I just saw a vehicle being pushed from the center of the X out to pit road and into the pit area. Kyle Crump. Kyle Crump has just had his car pushed off the racetrack. He has yet to attempt to qualify, but Kyle Crump was fastest in practice yesterday. He's carrying the number 18 for the Anthony Campy racing effort in a car that's prepared by Johnny and Butch Van Dorn. There were high expectations for Kyle Crump to do well here. Kyle has had a run of success working with those 2 young brothers that are racing with Van Dorn Racing Development and what they got going on. But Kyle Crump's car now being pushed from the infield after presenting down on the pits. You come off the pit road in turn 3, come down to present for qualifying. Kyle Crump's car took a hard right up the turn 4 ramp, and it's out in the pits now. Big developments here for Crump, who's hoping to probably bag that $1,000. There it is. They're going thrashing on that white number 18. That car was pushed back to the pit area in between these rounds of bringing cars to the infield to qualify. We are rolling through qualifying, determining who's going to win the $1,000 Go Fast Pole Award. And by the way, qualifying, there's points on the line here. 5 for the pole, 4 for second, 3 for third, 2 for fourth, and 1 for fifth. That's also a tradition carried on through the old ASA National Tour into this season and the debut of the Stars National Tour. Austin Nason on the racetrack.
And it's Butcher, Ruggiero, Tomasic, Berta, and Pollard all getting those points right now.
Nason, a full-timer this year, up to 6th in the point standings, looking to improve his best finish of 7th, Pensacola's Five Flag Speedway. This is a second home for Austin Nason. He grew up at Rockford Speedway. We talked about how Mark Martin thought it was similar to Anderson and how it adapted and how he was acclimated to getting to Anderson and doing well on ASA. This is Austin Nason's wheelhouse. He's done a lot of racing on tight quarter-mile bull rings in the upper Midwest, including here at Anderson Speedway.
7th right now with a 12.245.
Nason out of Roscoe, Illinois. Brings it down to the center. May not have the best qualifying car, but mark my words, Nason will be in contention to win this thing in the race. Beautiful looking car for the debut for the Texan Out of Leander, Texas, Logan Bearden. Now living in Mooresville, North Carolina. Finished 5th here in the Redbud 400 last year under the CRA sanction. This is Logan's debut.
He's 11th.
Reading through some notes, he had a tire go down last year in the 400 lapper and still came back to rebound for 5th.
Stays in 11th with a 12.3, 6.9.
Kind of rolled through the ginger. He kind of gingered his way through turn 3. We'll see if that cost him time or gain time. A lot of eyeballs on this driver with the laps he's put in here.
Jumps all the way to 4th, 12.173.
Next up, the driver who dominated at the Milwaukee Mile, winning his second ASA Stars National Tour race, coming off his $20,000 payday this past Tuesday at the Slinger Nationals, Ty Majeski on the backstretch, current point leader for the ASA Stars National Tour. He told me the closer they got to getting faster on the speed charts, the closer they got to looking at their Slinger Speedway setup. That High Bank quarter mile in Wisconsin is a quarter mile as well, and they got a late chance to grab the win away from Luke Fenhouse and did so cleanly, winning his 3rd race there this week.
He jumps to 4th with a 12.163.
Yeah, he can get it done. He can qualify like nobody's business. More fast times than anybody else in ASA Midwest Tour history.
A little higher through 3 than most of the drivers we've seen so far, too.
Hung it out there wide, didn't he? For sure.
Yeah, he's going to stay in 4th.
A lot of concern about how to get through those bumps in turn 3. He was texting late last night with his crew chief, Toby Noodleman, to figure that out. Next up, number 5, the man we took a ride with, Dalton Armstrong. His brother Dakota races full-time in the 500 Sprint Car Tour. Dalton has raced in the last 2 little 500s here at Anderson Speedway. Cousin Caleb Armstrong, also a good hot shoot. Stock car and midget and sprint car pavement racer.
13th right now.
This is Richie Waters, number 5 for Dalton Armstrong out of Newcastle, Indiana. Lemon
Jumps
Trucking.
to 12th.
Lemon Trucking is sponsor on that car, getting it together. Dalton's done a select few. I thought he raced at Milwaukee. That just didn't come together for this team. His only 2 prior starts in the Midwest Tour were at the Milwaukee Mile. This is his debut in the ASA Stars National Tour.
Looks like that's where he's going to stay.
Butcher, 12.043 is the time to beat. Michael Hind now brings the flames forward. That Toyota is flying quickly around turns 3 and 4.
Just a couple cars left to go, Jim.
Out of Hernando, Florida, the 19-year-old. He's had a couple of times where he's got Dan Fredrickson race his car, including the day he went to senior prom at high school instead of racing that weekend earlier this year.
Michael will move to 14th. Some smoke on this car.
Could be bottoming out or some tire rub. I mean, there's a lot going on to keep these cars to the racetrack.
And he will move to 11th.
Chris Caters is crew chief. Chris said one of our goals this weekend is to keep the car on the racetrack. This is a tough place to figure out.
He goes to...
Hind up to 10th now, 12.275. He is 0.030 seconds off of pole. I'm sorry, 2.232 off of pole. So a little over 0.2 of a second for your top 10 in speeds here. Here comes Albert Francis. In the number 33 comes in your 8th in points, the 21-year-old out of Painesville, Ohio. Best finish this year is 7th at Madison International Speedway in the Joe Shear Classic in Wisconsin. White flag out for Albert. Up to 10th for Albert Francis, 12.257. 12.257 moves Hind back to 11th. Can he break it in the top 8 for the redraw? No, he'll stay 9th. He'll bump Austin Nason down a spot. 12.245. Just 0.2 off pole. 12.043 is Cole Butcher's time to beat. And we're waiting on the number 83 of J.P. Crabtree. And we'll see if the number 18 of Kyle Crump can be presented for qualifying. Here comes the white 18 of Crump down the chute, and that Chevrolet coming down with that brand new 5-star stock car body on it. Rolls to the center of the infield. Just puzzling what happened there when they had to basically pull out a qualifying line and get that car repaired in the pits before returning to the racing surface. Number 18, Kyle Crump, the Crosstown Automotive sponsorship. That's the team that's being fielded under the ownership banner of the driver and team owner second in points, Casey Roderick, not here. This is the number 18, entered by Anthony Campy Racing. Kyle Crump on the backstretch. His only attempt this year for the ASA Stars National Tour was at Madison International Speedway, where he's one of 10 drivers that did not qualify into the 28-car field and went home.
16th right now. It's going to jump him up a little bit. He goes all the way to 4th.
He had a lot of speed yesterday, Ralph. Keep an eye on this last lap for Kyle Crump in the number 18.
12.162. Here he comes to the checkers, and he's going to stay right there with a 12.136.
Nobody was thinking it was over until we saw Kyle Crump qualify. Thank goodness the team got it prepared. Good job by Johnny Van Dorn and Butch Van Dorn to get that car figured out and presented for qualifying.
Well, that was a pretty good back of the end zone catch, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Dwight
Come out
Clark.
last second like that after having the issues. You put that thing 4th.
I'm going to say Dwight Clark. Is that okay if I refer to the 49ers in that back of the end zone catch?
My world, absolutely. And I know you did that on purpose.
I did. Yeah. But it was the most famous catch ever.
The catch. All right, Matt, how about it for our fast time qualifier?
How about it for Old Canada? Cole Butcher, your Go Fast Racing Fast qualifier, $1,000 bonus. Congratulations. That time in the first section really stuck and really worked out for you.
Yeah, I got nervous. I got pretty cool just sitting here, but we were able to stand our ground and get the pole. So I can't thank Wilson Motorsports enough, my sponsors, Atlantic Tola, and we'll get ready for 400 laps.
It's been a good season for you so far, top 3 in the point standings, and tonight could very well potentially be a good points night for you, couldn't it?
Oh, for sure. It's 400 laps. You have to be there at the end. 2 straight stage breaks, and I think it's gonna be good.
Cole Butcher, your Go Fast Racing Fast qualifier for the Redbud 400, guys.
Yeah, and he grabbed some cash for that and 5 bonus points, Jim.
Big time. And you're talking about points. Casey Roderick not being here, that's another step for Cole to just kind of say, okay, I really need to get max points. Ty Majeski did a great job of getting max points at Milwaukee, winning both stages and the race. And by the way, the end of the race is also the end of stage points bonus paid out for that in this series this year. So, yeah, some catching up to do, and Cole's starting to do it in the right way.
The problem for Cole is there's a redraw.
Yep. He gained 4 points on Ty Majeski, though. Majeski qualifies 5th and gets 1 point for that. Gia Ruggiero, Scotty Tomasic, Kyle Crump, Ty Majeski, the top 5 in time. Also part of the redraw for drawing literally for their starting position in the first 4 rows. Logan Bearden in his debut, Chase Berta, and Bubba Pollard, the top 8 in qualifying. So Pollard again in the redraw for the 3rd time or 4th time, I think it is, in 6 races this year.
I think Matt has another guest for us. Take it away, Matt.
Standing by with Kyle Crump, who had some issues late in practice and originally in qualifying, but does respond with a 4th place qualifying effort. Kyle, what was the issue there late in practice and then here just a little while ago in qualifying?
Yeah, something drained the battery in it, and not sure what that was, so I'm a little nervous before the race because the main power switch was off. So I don't know, something's drawing on it, but the guys knocked it out of the park back there, made it out with a few seconds to spare, honestly, under the 5-minute clock, and then I think we qualified 4th or something around there. So awesome comeback, but a little nervous.
Kyle Crump getting ready for the redraw. He'll head to the infield.
Well, that's a little nerve-wracking.
This is an impound race, too. If that team has to go and replace that battery, that is not on the list of things you can do in impound. That may cost them a starting spot. We shall see here at Anderson Speedway what's going to transpire.
Here's hoping she fires later, huh?
Indeed he does.
Okay. Well, qualifying is over.
What do you say we grab some lunch with some superstars of ASA, Ralph?
I like that. We're going to take a short break. Now that qualifying is wrapped up, Jim and I are going to unplug headsets and make our way over to what's known as the pavilion here, where the ASA Racer Reunion is taking place. And we're going to go see some old friends here, and we're going to bring you back over there with us. And we'll be talking to all the superstars of days gone by who are with us here today. So we look forward to seeing you over there. For Matt Preer, Jim Trado, I'm Ralph Sheen. Thanks for joining us for qualifying. Don't go too far away. Keep your TV on, and we'll be right back from the pavilion in a few minutes.